Arthur Schopenhauer looked at human existence and reached the darkest conclusion in philosophy. Life is suffering. Not sometimes, not for some people, always, for everyone. Everything we do, every desire, every ambition, every love, is just the will to live driving us toward brief satisfaction and then back into pain. He wrote, "Life swings like a pendulum between pain and boredom. You want something. You suffer until you get it. Then you are briefly satisfied. Then you are bored. Then you want something else. This is not a phase. This is existence." Arthur Schopenhauer philosophy is the most unflinching diagnosis of the human condition ever written, and here is what makes him different from every philosopher we have covered. He does not offer a solution, he offers a diagnosis, and he says the only way out is to stop playing the game entirely. Schopenhauer explained is not comfort, it is clarity. And clarity, he believed, is the only thing that helps. You have seen the other Schopenhauer videos, the biography, the pessimism summary, the quotes about how life is suffering. They all make him sound like the philosopher you should avoid. This is not one of those videos. This is Mindscape Philosophy. We take the ideas that actually change lives and show you why they matter. Today, the darkest philosopher in history, and why understanding him might be the most liberating thing you ever do. Schopenhauer was born in 1788 in Danzig, now Gdansk, Poland. His father was a wealthy merchant who died when Arthur was 17, likely by suicide. His mother was a successful novelist who ran a literary salon where Goethe visited. Arthur hated her. She hated him back. When she died, he wrote, "The world is a little less bright." In 1818, at 30 years old, he published The World as Will and Representation. It sold fewer than 300 copies. He was convinced it was a masterpiece. The world did not agree. For the next 30 years, he taught at the University of Berlin, scheduling his lectures at the exact same time as Hegel, the most famous philosopher in Germany. Nobody came to Schopenhauer's lectures. Hegel's room was packed. Then, in 1851, he published a collection of essays called Parerga and Paralipomena. It became a bestseller. At 63, he was finally famous. He spent his final years alone in Frankfurt with a series of poodles, each named Atman, the Sanskrit word for the eternal self. He died in 1860. His last words were, "I thank you for everything." Schopenhauer's central idea is the will to live. Not your will, not my will, the will. A blind, unconscious, driving force that exists in everything. Every living thing is driven by this will. The plant reaching for light, the animal hunting for food, the human chasing success, love, meaning. All of it is the will, and the will is never satisfied. The will creates desire. Desire creates suffering. You get what you want, briefly, and then you want something else. This is not a personal failing. It is the structure of existence. You are not broken. You are a will to live that has become conscious of itself. And that consciousness, that awareness of the trap, is the beginning of freedom. Schopenhauer argued that most of life is suffering because most of life is wanting, and wanting hurts. The only relief comes in brief moments of satisfaction, which immediately become boredom, which immediately becomes new wanting. The pendulum never stops, and here is the part that makes him different from the self-help industry. Schopenhauer does not tell you to want less. He tells you that wanting is what you are. You cannot stop wanting any more than a river can stop flowing. The goal is not to want less. The goal is to see the want for what it is and transcend it. Stop the pendulum, the will to live, the suffering. You can find all of this in any Schopenhauer video. What comes next is the part that none of the other videos will tell you. What do you actually do about it? Schopenhauer offered 3 escapes from the will. Not solutions, escapes. Temporary reprieves from the endless wanting. The first is art. When you stand before a great painting or listen to a symphony, you stop wanting. You just experience. For a moment, you are not a will. You are pure perception. The second is compassion. When you truly see another person's suffering, you step outside your own will. Your ego dissolves. You feel their pain as your own. This is the closest thing to transcendence that Schopenhauer believed was available to most people. The third is asceticism, the complete denial of the will. Schopenhauer admired the saints, the monks, the people who renounced desire entirely. He himself did not do this. He enjoyed good food, good wine, and complained constantly. He was honest about the gap between his philosophy and his life. And then there is his most famous metaphor, the Porcupine Dilemma. On a cold night, porcupines huddle together for warmth, but their quills prick each other. So they move apart. Then they get cold again, so they move closer. They spend the night adjusting. Too close hurts, too far freezes. This is human intimacy. The perfect distance, Schopenhauer said, is politeness. The distance at which you can coexist without hurting each other. He never married. He lived alone with his poodles. He called human relationships a necessary evil. And yet, he spent his life writing books hoping to be understood. The contradiction is the man. Let me bring this to today. You check your phone. You want likes. You get likes. You feel good for 30 seconds. Then you want more likes. This is the pendulum. This is Schopenhauer's diagnosis of the human condition. Running on a dopamine loop in your pocket. You buy something online. Anticipation, purchase, delivery, unboxing, satisfaction. Then, what's next? The will to live has been rebranded as consumer desire, but the mechanism is identical. Schopenhauer pessimism is not outdated. It is more relevant than ever. You scroll dating apps, swipe, match, chat, meet, disappointment, swipe again. This is the Porcupine Dilemma digitized. Too close hurts, too far freezes. And the algorithm keeps you exactly at the distance where you keep swiping. Schopenhauer would not tell you to delete the apps. He would tell you to see them for what they are. The will to live, expressing itself through technology. Once you see it, really see it, the loop loses its power. Not because you stop wanting, because you stop mistaking wanting for meaning. He wrote, "A man can do what he wants, but he cannot want what he wants. You are free to act. You are not free to desire. Your desires choose you. And once you understand that, you can stop blaming yourself for wanting things you wish you did not want." 3 practices. 1. The pendulum watch. Today, notice the cycle. Want something. Get it. Brief satisfaction. New want. Watch it happen without judgment. This is not a problem to fix. This is the engine of existence. Just see it. 2. The porcupine check. In one interaction today, notice the distance. Are you too close? Too far? Find the distance where you can coexist without hurting each other. That is the art of human connection according to the darkest philosopher in history. 3. The will break. Do one thing today purely for the experience, not for the outcome. Art, music, nature, something where you are not wanting, not achieving, not optimizing, just perceiving. That is your escape from the pendulum. That is your freedom. Schopenhauer showed us that the will to live is the source of suffering. But there is a question he left unanswered. If the will is what drives us, what happens when the will breaks? What happens when someone loses the will to live entirely? Emil, the darkest philosopher of the 20th century, a man who wrote, "It is not worth the bother of killing yourself, since you always kill yourself too late." Philosophy pushed to its absolute limit. The philosopher who makes Schopenhauer look cheerful. That is next time on Mindscape Philosophy. Subscribe so you do not miss it. This is Mindscape Philosophy. Tomorrow morning, one moment of pure perception. That is your escape from the pendulum. See you next week.